Welcome to this week's Hymn of the Week. This week we have ELW 520, Dearest Jesus, at Your Word. The first three stanzas of this hymn, as we see here, were by Tobias Klausnitzer. And this appeared in the Altdorfisches Gesangbüchlein, so the old village psalmbook in 1663, and they were used before the sermon, which would make sense because it's referring to the Word. Of course, as we see here, they were translated by Catherine Winkworth, and that was in her Lyra Germanica, the second series, 1858. The last stanza is basically a doxology, and we don't know who that text is by. It did appear in the Berliner Gesangbuch in 1707. And we do see a hint to the Nicene Creed, possibly with Light of Light in the verse 3. So we know that the text generally was by Tobias Klausnitzer, right? The tune we know was by Johann Ahle, and he first published this in this collection called Neue Geistliche auf die Sonntage durchs ganze Jahr gerichtete Andachten, which means the new spiritual for Sundays and throughout the year appropriate devotions. So it was originally composed for an Advent hymn, Ja, ist der Heil der Welt, das Heil der Welt, which means, yes, it's him, the Savior of the world. And it appeared florid and somewhat solistic, which I think what I'll be doing in verse 4 is try to capture some of that a bit, since that's a doxology. But then it appeared in another, more congregational form, with Klausnitzer's hymn in a collection called Das große Kantional oder Kirchengesangbuch. So, and that was published in Darmstadt in 1687. So we have the rounded borrowed form in this tune. And here we go. Dearest Jesus, at your word. different forms of ornamentation, I used the mordent, the schneller. I also used appoggiaturas and also turns to kind of give some of that flavor that would have very likely have been around with that first form by Klausnitzer, which was pre-Baroque or pretty close to the Baroque period. Thank you very much for listening to Hymn of the Week.